Okay, I think this should work. At least I think so. Hi guys, and let me talk about a little bit of what the hell I am actually doing in my free time. And that's ripping all of these bizarre NSF files what I am working all over the place, and what better to start with, which is just a very common game in the NES scene, which is Super Contra. So let's working, shall we? So if you look at public NSF files, you can easily see that this is what you need to work with. This is the right init and play address. I'm not going into detail how to find this, how to debug it, it just did it. But here is the thing. So as you can hear, I am playing to the sound effects here, and that's not really actually the main focus yet. So for stage 1, stage 4, stage 3, stage 2 plays normal, but you might wonder what the fuck is this? What's going on here? And what are these indirect run address rights there? I'm going to explain it very quickly. And another thing, and these are the just corrupted sample rights, which is no game data or anything else, so there is no sample playback right for the integer address. So okay, so here is another file which is extracted from the game itself as well, but here if you listen closely, the one of the tracks that you listened in this one sounds weird. However, which didn't sound right here sounds right here. Here is the ending and the samples. Why is that? Well, it's very easy. It's due to the bank switching thing, and it would be extremely uncomfortable for people on the internet to have two separate NSFs for game files like this, and this is have to be fixed with the bank switching technique in the NSF. So we go back and analyze the code a little bit. So the sound effects are made mostly ranged from the 8 to the 9F or the 8FF region of the first sub-memory banks. So you don't want to touch that, and you don't really want to touch anything here from C to, I think, EFFFF. But there is actually a very easy method if you want to know, as a novice NSF ripper like I am, of what do you can really touch, and this is why FCU Ultra comes handy in that, because that tells you that the result vector is located at FA8E. So let's type it into Notepad. And then we don't need the game itself. So how do I actually know which is this address? Because we are talking about memory, so this is pretty much where the contents loads from the 8000 memory address. I got this one. There is a very easy mathematical feature for that, which is basically taking the memory address and taking into hex and type it into a calculator, and then you divide, or you get the idea what I'm doing. from the load address, so you subtract from there and then you add the load, and then you add 80 because the NSF file header is 80 hex long, and it will give us to the 7B0E hex address. Oh, and yeah, see, anything that starts with the SCE, which is a set interrupt vector, is mostly used for the reset vectors in NES games. And if we look deeper into the thing, you can see that this is a game that uses as a hardwired bank for its samples. So basically you don't have to bank switch this area, only the upper region from A to BFFF. How we are going to do that? Well, it's going to be quite simple. Oh, and we have a lot of empty space here, which is going to be just fine to work with overall, if everything is set up normally. Well, we are going to need a lookup table for it, and let's see what is the last track, what I'm going to include in my NSF file. This one, if we really want to include these glitch things. Okay, so 89 tracks, which means 59 hex. Maybe it is not going to be enough, because 59, sorry, and 59. Okay, I think it's going to be just enough, but I mean just enough to work with overall. Okay, so let's check my sample NSF file here, just so Sentai Jetman. Go into here, and pretty much I'm going to copy this portion of this code and paste it here. 1A. So this is where our initialization address is going to be loaded. It is located at this address, which is 7F98, and we need to calculate this, what is going to be a memory address for this. So 7F83 minus 80 of NSF header plus load address, that's it, that's 50, that's 6FF16. But as usual in these kind of programming, at least assembly, everything is the other way around. The high and the low bytes are changed. So this is where our initialization address comes handy, and this is the very first bank. And for the NSF bank switching, you need to copy these contents, at least from here. You need to copy all the shit into the end of that file, but we are going back into our main initialization routine. Okay, so this pretty much sets up that the 8, 9, A and B, so what I just told you, the first 4K of the bank is going to be bank switched. So you need the identifier and the pointer of what songs should be loaded from here to here. So basically this first But these first bytes just tells me of where should I load first, or no, the banks actually. So we calculated that 89 tracks is going to be 59 hex address. Yep, and we are going to set the main init route at the very bottom of the code, which is pretty much the copy which was the main initialization routine. Okay, so yeah, we need to fiddle around sometimes with it. So main init routine, which is pretty much very simple, so it's jump to this address point, and again we need to know what memory it is going to be, so it's 87B. So we divide with 80 and add load address. It is FBFF, so it's just the very end of the bank, pretty much FBFF, and the main initialization's last bit pretty much jumps to the main init routine, because what I am doing is only really applies if an NSF has the same initialization and the same play routine driver. There are NSFs that which has this multi-bank switching feature, but there has more play addresses, more initializations for the sound effects like the GS whip has, so it's a hell of a lot more harder. But Konami had the decency to not pretty much break your ass apart when it comes to the initialization. When it comes to the optimizing of the tracks, well, that's another shit show. So let's first set the banks. Okay, so this is where I'm going to set my banks, or the subcolor routine identifier, if I have to be very technical jerk like that. I don't even really know if it makes any sense, but that's it. Let's see, it's 59, yep, it's 59, and I have here a little dump file which I made it when I was very bored, because you know, typing 59 hex, or you know what, typing 89 numbers within hex is probably not what you really want to see all the time. So again, we need to set here what all of the addresses are being initialized. So this is where actually this address is actually where in most one bank game the initialization is really pretty much set up, and let's calculate it again. So this is D0, FFD0. Sorry if I'm saying in the wrong order, but I just pretty much got used to this hex speech, which I am actually very silent about it, so we can easily call this. So DCBA90. So these are the track number IDs. Very easily, if I want to say so. This address reads from this region. So 1987, 30, and this is the 30 address. This 20 FF. It's actually very easy because this was FF16, this is FF26, 7, 29, TB, 20D, 20D, 30. So it's all that really there is really to say about this one. So let's test, shall we? This is our 49 kilobyte super blank switched NSF file here. So let's listen a little bit. So if you pay attention here, this is pretty much our lookup table what we just did. If I press, or you know what, if I am okay, I think I wasn't a dummy and I said, oh thank goodness, those addresses, so it is not going to happen, catastrophe like this. So that's where our these track IDs need. This one selects the upper bank and or the downer bank, so it's very simple. But here's the thing, so this is track ID 00 and there is nothing which is initialized, so we can pretty much optimize our RIP a little bit. How we should do this? So in this initialization code there is nothing, so we took our routine and chop that 1 byte off. Oh, like that. I said, oh, I can chop down this, but when it comes to the main utilization, it is going to be a hell of a lot more harder. So let's listen a bit. So that's that snare drum. See, here is nothing which is got initialized. So what shall we do? Take our main init files, chop this one from the bunker switcher, and now on 23rd track there is the next following sound effect, which is following. So this is how very easy is this. But it's a very painstaking process. Thirty-two, 21, 30, 29. Yeah, and technically this is how I actually rip NSFs, and this is the Japanese file that I am dealing with. Okay, so this is where our music part comes in. So these are the music IDs where shit gets started, and pretty much we did it, but not quite. So NSF normally follows the formula of first you hear the music tracks and then the sound effects. It's all very simple. Okay, so Hear that? So that is track number 11. 11, 10, 11. So, and you can hear this glitched out shit. What shall we do now? Let's go back into your bunker selector thing. Press an 8 right there because the second bank is loaded from this hex address, and it should load the bank switcher. Oh, not that one. See? See? No more glitching. And this is how should have everyone made these NSF files. It glitches now. But no more. And yeah, we chopped down quite a few tunes here and there. And 56. So this is our initial track number addresses. So that's it. I don't know how much sense this is going to make when I finally finish the video, but I'm trying to explain to people who are interested of how am I doing this. And now, if I'm going to be really into the deep part now, because we just corrected the address rangers and set up these two things, because for God forbid the shit that it was thrown into this other bank for some bizarre, really weird reason. But if I am correct, okay, maybe not that much, let's try out, because you can optimize the bit a little bit, because there is a lot of unused shit. Yes, it doesn't seem to use these addresses at all, so because if so, then it would glitch out the track, so you would have to redo this. But since this is just unused code, you can erase it. It's not important in an NSF file. It's only important, and I actually didn't do the most important thing, because the player that I am using supports or this I call it so not normally valid 72 ASM code. Okay, my English is not the greatest, so you actually have to go to the header and set the bank switching bytes into this one, and it pretty much tells the NSF that this is an NSF which does bank switching. If you leave it to 0, the normal players, what most people use, like Brad Smith's NSF play, you are going to have a trouble like this. See, it still glitches out because it thinks that it only uses the one bank, but no, it should use 2 banks for music, so you have to type that. See, that's it. And as you can probably hear, the music tracks are not in order, because let's listen a little bit. So it's stage 1, stage 4, stage 3, stage 2. So let's see. I'm gonna move this to here. Sorry, and I change the address, and you have to arrange. That's all. But you have to be very careful, because if you want to move this track which is on this another bank, let's say if we want to be to the very first track, you not only have to put this one into here, but the bank number as well, because it is the first track. So it's kind of a tedious job, and you can easily mess up if you don't pay attention. So that's all of what went into the re-ripping of the Super CNSF, because if you look at the public rip Super CNSF, which I actually hate, 48 kilobytes, oh my Jesus Christ. Well, my one is actually not really that big, so this is the public NSF. And it does the job right, but if you notice, for some reason he changed this address to a tax number, and you shouldn't have to do it at all, because one of the general rules of NSF ripping: never ever change code in the music file unless you absolutely have the necessary. And moreover, he chopped down code, and you are greeted with mess like this. So I can safely say that this is a bad rip, and this is a normal rip. It's bigger and it looks confusing, but trust me, this is how should have people done it. So I guess thanks for watching, and I think I talked a little bit way too much about this, and see you soon enough.